Welcome to the Smorgasbord Podcast, episode 18, where we talk about a variety of different topics, uncensored, unedited, and unfiltered. Today it's just me, and it's been a minute since I've recorded. I recently uploaded. It was like an old one. I forgot to, upload. Whew, yeah, a lot of things happened. We got a lot of shit to talk about. But to start off, in the sports world, the NBA is returning. So that's a big thing. Now officially it's returning sometime in I think August, and the playoffs are going to be in September. And only 22 teams, the top 22 teams in the NBA, are going to finish out a season. So, unfortunately, my Warriors have the worst record in the league, trying to get that first draft pick. Uh, our season's over, and also notably the Atlanta Hawks. And the reason I bring up the Atlanta Hawks is not because I'm a fan; it's because a certain man's career is now officially over. His name is Vince Carter. Now, I am deeply saddened by this because I love Vince Carter. Vince Carter is, I believe, the greatest dunker of all time, and one of just overall, and obviously undefeatedly a future Hall of Famer. And I got to see him play in his last season, and personally, he's maybe the fanboy in me, but I still feel like he could play a couple more seasons and do well enough to be significant in the league. And so now he's officially retired, and now we wait for it to officially start. And when that starts, they're gonna make so much money. Disney's gonna make a fuck ton of more money because they're literally taking the entire corporation, plus TV sales, plus things. Oh my, just oil money. You're gonna make so much they don't even know what the hell to do with it. It's ridiculous. And just overall it's gonna be very interesting because again they said they're like there's no crowd still. So they're gonna play the soundtrack. One of my friends told me, Harrison told me that they were gonna play the soundtrack of a crowd in an empty stadium. Personally, I think it's the dumbest thing you could ever do. You just let them play in silence and make it just how like 2K would be during quarantine, and just have the volume down in the crowd and all stuff, and the commentators, and unless you could hear the commentators. I don't know, but yeah. So I expect the playoffs will run throughout September, and Game 1 will actually start on my dad's birthday in September, so that will be a fun, interesting time. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking to see how this goes. And if I were to make a prediction, I'd say Lakers or Clippers versus Philadelphia or Milwaukee. And then maybe Boston if they sweep the leg under them. I don't know. But again, we have to wait to finish out the season and all that stuff. But it's taken, I think it starts August 31st or one of those times. But anyway, sticking trend with sports, football, a lot of things have been trending. Number one, the comments of Drew Brees and Jake Fromm. Now, my personal opinion on this is I think the fact that Drew Brees is getting more hate than Jake Fromm is absolutely absurd. Because if you're not educated on the situation, Drew Brees made a comment saying, I do not understand why people would disrespect the flag. Meaning, disrespect like the country, referring to the kneeling and the stuff and all that stuff in the NFL, the whole thing. People protest, wouldn't stand for the flag and all the other things. Jake Fromm, on the other hand, if I'm saying his name right, said only white elites should be able to have gun rights. Now, just off rip, I'm asking you all this question. Which one of those statements should spark more outrage? I don't get why people are disrespecting the flag. Only white elites should have gun rights. You'd think the gun right one, but just because Drew Brees is a bigger star, the internet has decided to castrate him about that statement. And honestly, in my opinion, the statement isn't wrong. The statement isn't. I don't personally. It's weird to explain. Like I don't think it's a bad thing he said. I don't think because all it was his opinion. He didn't say anything bad. And honestly, if you think about it, and this is where the outrage is so misplaced. is the fact that the reason this whole they got upset was they think people like to associate patriotism with arrogance and with racism nowadays, because now you can't be proud of anything these days, because again, if you do, you're like fucking Hitler or whatever. But no, but the biggest problem with humans in general, but especially in America, they like to associate an object with patriotism. They like to associate the flag. They think because, and people who are quote unquote patriots, they look at the flag and they think because they salute it, they're patriotic of the country. When in reality, it has been spoken that people of all races from all countries have said that that flag doesn't represent them, and they're right, because it was made during a time where it was a hypocritical symbol, and that it represented all people and all, and they were right to, and just in general, all the old stuff, the Constitution needs to be updated. If the founding fathers came back today and saw how the world ran and be like, y'all still, they would look at us and be like, y'all still ain't update this shit. Dog, we had slaves behind us when we wrote this bullshit. When we talk about all men are created equal, we had slaves behind us in this when I wrote this shit. And y'all ain't decided to update it at all, because America ain't the same America as the whole thing back then. As much as people like to say America's more racist now, it's not. It really isn't. People say America's more racist now. It isn't. And you're like, it gets pretty privileged. Like, no, it's not. How do I know it's not racist? For example, I wouldn't exist. I'm biracial. I'm biracial. I'm black and Puerto Rican. I wouldn't exist if America was more racist or just as racist as back then. And it brings it back to the patriotism. So a flag that hasn't been updated, they want to salute to that. They want to call that. They want to make that represent your patriotism. In reality, you're not a flag. I can make a flag anywhere. I can make a flag anywhere about anything. You want to talk about pride or patriotism about whatever it is, that'd be a flag of a country, a flag of a movement, like the game, like a pride flag or whatever, and all the, it's Gay Pride Month and all that stuff. And they want to talk about all that, and they think because they have a flag that it makes them certified, and it doesn't. It really doesn't, because I can manufacture a flag as easy as I can burn it. What it is, it's about the people. There's a quote in Thor Ragnarok, one of the very few superheroes movies I watched, and it was when their homeland got destroyed, and the leader just went ahead and looked at Thor and said, I can't remember the name of it, but it was just like, it was never a place, it's a people. And that's what America is. It's a people. So if you want to talk about patriotism, you have to be proud of the people instead of being proud of some object. Because in reality, the object don't even represent some white people. It didn't. And it's not like it now. It's more all inclusive, but back then it definitely wasn't. And to say that you don't understand why they disrespect the flag is a valid opinion, because he just doesn't understand. Because I feel like Drew Brees is one of the very few people that it kind of represents in a way, because he's a rich dude. He's a rich white dude. But even then, some white people aren't even represented by that flag. So I'm just saying, if they were to update it in my lifetime, or they update anything in my lifetime, I would feel more connected to it. It don't matter, regardless of all the bullshit that happens. That's just what it is. Same thing, because I remember I had this argument with my mom. She said, do you feel a connection to Puerto Rico? And I was honest. I said, because again, part of me considered lying and being like, yeah, I feel a connection. I don't. And she couldn't wrap her head around it. I'm like, it's very simple. When I look at America, and I have more connection to America than Puerto Rico, and yet still I look at America and Puerto Rico the same, meaning they were both taught to me like it's a history lesson. And a lot of people won't understand that. And my mom was one of those people who didn't understand it, especially around her people. And she wanted to force her opinion on me. or she wanted to force that feeling. And she said, something you feel. And I'm like, I can't feel it because I don't got it. So that's how people feel about America. And it doesn't represent them. They're not connected. They don't have that feeling of like hatred or anger whenever someone doesn't stand up for a flag or whatever. But Drew Brees' points are very valid. He's very valid to say what he said, and yes, he has to apologize because he wants to save his career. Because I don't know why. Because the internet's acting like a bunch of bitches like usual. Because it isn't offensive at all. It's actually like it's a valid question and it's a valid opinion. And the fact that is getting more attention. Like for example, I've just talked about for 11 minutes. I bet you've already forgotten about the name of the guy that I said. Jake Prom, to remind people who's watching this, if you made it this far. Goes out and gets text or releases saying what only elite white men deserve gun rights. Now, no one's talking about that, but because Drew Brees and Jake Prom are such levels above each other, and NFL even recognized that because we're going to review the comments that Drew Brees said, but not Jake Prom. Why? Why is his opinion about a quote-unquote symbol of patriotism being reviewed by the commissioner and the leaders of the NFL more, and the Jake Fromm comments have not even been touched? Why is that a thing? I'm just letting y'all know, man. Y'all gotta have your priorities straight about what the hell to look at. Because while Drew Brees is in here getting castrated, being forced to write an apology and all that stuff, and all these black people on his team, and all black people in the NFL be like, I don't accept your apology, like he's racist, he's this and that. I'm like, no, he's not. He isn't. He stated his opinion. He's apologizing for it because we live in a soft-ass society or a bunch of bitches who gotta sit up here and you gotta fucking censor yourself for their feelings. Fuck no. If I was Drew Brees, I'd be like, no. If you guys listen to what I meant and not what I said, you get it. And that's the biggest thing. People want to hear what they want to hear because America now and the world in general is turning more towards emotion. In fact, is no longer a quote unquote to them fact because their truth is the truth, and that's not how it's supposed to be. And just in general, their priorities are wrong. So they want to push their own truth and their own reality to the reality. That's just not how it works. And it can go with any community. It can go with the black community. It can go with the LGBTQ community about some things. It can go black community. It can go with the white community. It can go any community. And people want to separate themselves and all that other stuff. And in reality, that's not the truth. And people, and because I said that, there'll be people out there who will try to manipulate that saying, like, yeah, well, how do you know your truth is not the truth? Because mine is not emotionally fueled. If you put emotion behind your backing and you have no evidence other than the fact that you feel passionate about it, that isn't doing anything. That isn't doing anything. You feeling passionate about something, you saying it a little bit stronger, a little bit louder, isn't doing the same shit. But yet, it fucking works. Because, and I'll give you an example. Look at every single presidency. What have they always said? We need to get our country up and running. And then you have all these people, especially women, who think that a female president is going to fix something. And it's not. Because at the end of the day, it's a politician. Think about if Hillary won. You think she would have changed something? Like she would have changed the world because she had a vagina? That's your logic? We need to get the country up and running. It's the same shit the guy said. Woo! Doing the same thing. She's got a pair of vagina, a pair of boobs. She wins it, right? She's still a politician. She don't give a damn. She ain't working for women. She's working for the people who are funding her. And the people who are the top priority. And 9 times out of 10, it's not you. And that's it. So I'm telling y'all people, you gotta have your priorities straight. And stop focusing on the shit that hurt your feelings and start focusing on the truth. Truth of the matter is, Drew Brees should be, if anything, you want to give him anything, just say, hey, be careful what you say, and that's it. Jake Fromm should be kicked out of the NFL. But I tell you what, Drew Brees will get suspended, but guess what happened to Jake Fromm? He'll get a slap on the wrist. Why? Why? My question to you, why? And would you think that's acceptable? That's the equivalent. That is the equivalent of having two siblings who have both have the same job, just different levels. One of them says, I don't like black people. The other one's just like, black people haven't treated me well. And you get mad at the guy who says black people haven't treated me well, which is a personal opinion and experience. There's someone who says, I don't like black people. And he's going to get off. Meanwhile, the boss is considering whether to fire this dude or not. It doesn't work. So I'm telling you, everybody out there who's having a go at Drew Brees, who's not really going after Jake Fromm, y'all niggas need to have your priorities straight. What is the truth? Stop focusing on the other stuff and letting this other bullshit sleep under the rug. But yeah, that's just my 2 cents on it. And the funny thing is, people already forgot about it, and they're going to move on about it because this is what people do. You know, and especially people on the internet. They want to get angry about something because it's a trend or because they see it recently on their timelines or whatever social media app they use, and they move on. And then that's how life carries on. It's always this. That's it. That is it. And staying on trend with sports, we'll go boxing. A lot of people don't watch boxing, but, I watch it. I mean, a lot of people that I know don't watch boxing. Obviously, it's a very popular sport. Recent news today, at least I've heard, Tyson Fury has the lineal heavyweight champion of the world and the WBC heavyweight champion of the world has signed a 2-fight contract and will face Anthony Joshua, who has like every other belt in the heavyweight division for a unification belt next year. But first, he's got to fight Deontay Wilder. You don't know who Deontay Wilder he was the boy from Alabama who was currently undefeated. He had a 42-0 record before he met Tyson Fury. Now, Tyson Fury you want to talk about someone who's been through hell and back. He has been through hell and back. He dominated the scene of the heavyweight division for years. He then fought Vladimir Klitschko, who was a undefeated heavyweight champion of 10 years. He beats them in Germany. He then goes through a depression, immediate remediation. He's diagnosed with all this mental illness, balloons up to 400 pounds. And he then decides one day, I'm gonna get back into it. He loses that weight. He gets down to 256. And he has these 2-0 fights, wins them single-handedly, and he's actually looked better. He said then, at the time, he said, I'm going to take Deontay Wilder. And the world thought he was crazy because Deontay Wilder, in his 42 fights, he had, at the time, before he met him, like when he had 39, I think he had 39 fights when he fought, or like 40 fights before he fought the first time he fought Tyson Fury. And he's knocked out. And he had 39 knockouts. And the only knockout, one that wasn't a knockout, was a guy he rematched, and he knocked him out in the first round. He has knocked out every single guy he fought. So you head into the first fight, you're like, okay, first of all, this dude's crazy, all this and that. And you watch the fight. I asked you people to watch it. I suggested you watch it. Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder 1. Ended as a draw. Personally, I thought Tyson dominated that fight boxing-wise. He was knocked down twice, which is what probably caused the draw. But I personally believe that Tyson Fury won that fight. Then leading up to the press conferences, Tyson Fury's like, I know what to do. I'm going to bully you. I'm going to put you. You can't fight backwards. You're not a boxer. You're a puncher. And I'm going to bully you. So the second fight gets scheduled. He's saying all this. He gains more weight on purpose. He says, and he went from 256 to 273. And the second fight happens. And from the opening gate, Tyson Fury just mauls Deontay Wilder. I'm talking about you can lose a fight, and you can get knocked out. Ladies and gentlemen, that was an ass kicking. for 7 rounds. 7 3-minute rounds. Well, it didn't end at the 7. It ended like halfway through the 7. So let's say like 21 minutes. Like 21 minutes. Like 20 and a half. 20 and a half minutes of getting your ass kicked in a ring in front of thousands of people. Tyson Fury dominated. He changed his entire fight style. He quit his original trainer. He changed his entire fight style. And he mauled him. He dominated him. He pushed him around. He threw him around. He whipped him up, down, left, right, and center. And then forced his corner to throw in the towel. And it was such a mauling. And it proved what I already noticed, and what Tyson Fury already noticed, is that Deontay Wilder can't box. He's a fighter. He's a fighter and he's a puncher. When you see him fight anybody, because he's 6'7", or whatever, and I don't even know if it's his height. I don't know what it was, but I don't know how people didn't pick it up on it before. Only one guy picked up on it before, and that was King Kong Luis Ortiz. In that fight, Deontay Wilder lost every round until he hit him with the right hand and he caught him and he went to sleep. But Tyson Fury is 6'9" and he's really light on his feet. He's got the head movement of Muhammad Ali in the footwork. So he was floating around the ring and he caught him one time in the first fight. Second fight, he just mauled him and put him so far on the back foot, he couldn't do anything. He couldn't fight. He couldn't try to do anything. And he just made him look like he didn't belong in the ring. That was his first loss. And he forced to stop his 7th round. Now, I bring this history lesson up because I said there's a 2-fight contract, but I only mentioned Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury. And that's the fight we all want to see, which should have happened before, but due to boxing politics and people being greedy for money, they almost lost the chance when Anthony Joshua lost to Andy Ruiz Jr. and he had to go the whole thing with Andy Ruiz Jr. And on top of that, Anthony Joshua's been ducking Deontay Wilder. I don't know why, but in reality, there's only really one. Now that Deontay Wilder's been beat, there's only one undefeated heavyweight giant, like Titan, and that is Tyson Fury. And I've been said from the beginning Tyson Fury was a better boxer, but he wants to unify the belts, but the second fight, he's got to go through a trilogy with Deontay Wilder, which means he has to fight him again. Why he has to fight him again doesn't make any sense to me. Because now you've given a crazy man in Tyson Fury motivation. Again, because he's been working out to keep himself healthy and stay in shape, and so he doesn't freaking kill himself. But now you've given him a more incentive to master a fighting style. He only was able to work on it 2 months, and he destroyed him. So unless Deontay is going to come back a completely different boxer, there's no chance. So there's no reason for this trilogy. And I get he deserves a rematch because he was the former champion. He's going to do that, but he doesn't need one. There's no reason. No one's going to want to see that. They'll go see it. They'll go and see it. But as far as promoting wise, there's really nothing to do to promote it. It should be like, Deontay's just gonna say the same thing. You beat me the first time, and but I'm gonna get you back. And then Tyson Fury's gonna look at him and be like, I beat you twice, even though one of them came down as a draw. It's gonna be a 3-up. All right, I'm gonna dominate you. I'm gonna destroy you like I did the first time. And guess what's gonna happen? I believe he's gonna go out there and destroy him, and hopefully. If I'm right, and if Deontay comes back a different fighter, it'll be a more compelling fight. But I still see Tyson winning. Okay, again, I feel like if the Kronk Jim fight style, which is the more aggressive one, which he beat him with officially, I think that he'll win because he can. I feel like he'll also switch back to his original boxing, and he would still beat him. Yeah, he at a point he just pick him apart, and I believe he'll lose by knockout or by points. Then you get to the real fight that we've all been waiting for. The Anthony Joshua Tyson Fury fight. The biggest fight in British heavyweight boxing history. You have Tyson Fury, the lineal heavyweight champion and the WBC heavyweight champion, versus Anthony Joshua versus the IBF, WBA, WBO, and some other belt champion. Winner of those belts will unify all the titles. Now, Tyson Fury is the only one who doesn't have a blemished record, meaning he's the only one that has a loss. Now, I don't understand. Like people, and the thing is, people think it's either going to be, and there's a lot of variables to this. There's a lot of variables. It depends on how the biggest two variables are how Tyson Fury's going to fight and how Anthony Joshua's going to fight. Because Anthony Joshua is known as the best finisher in boxing. If he gets you hurt, he's going to knock you out. And he was that way. He had 21 fights, and he knocked all 21 of them out. Then he started trying to fight pretty. And he started bulking up. He wanted to look good. Like all this stuff looks nice. It's not real strength. He then faced Andy Ruiz and thought because he was like a 5'11", short, fat Mexican dude versus a 6'6" black British dude, British champion, where when he leaned to the corner, he rested his hands on the top rope. So they thought, Ruiz is gonna get destroyed. So you go into the fight, and it starts off a feeling process, then Joshua knocks him down, almost clean. He clean clocks the shit out of him. Ruiz then gets up and starts mauling him. And then from there, from the third round of that fight, it went downhill. And I'm talking about Ruiz mauled it because he wanted to fight on the inside when he had such an advantage. He should have just did this and picked him off on the outside, and he would have been fine. But he didn't. And Ruiz kept on mauling him to the point where he had to stop. The fight was stopped by the ref. He then went back for a rematch, and he changed. He came in as lightest. Ruiz, who apparently wasn't taking it serious, came in at his heaviest. And you saw Joshua. The way he fought in the Andy Ruiz AJ 2 fight. He fought to get the win. He didn't fight to knock out. And it doesn't, and for that, doesn't make sense. And that's why I bring this up. Depends on how they're going to fight. Are they both going to fight to knock each other out? Is he going to bring his original, is AJ going to bring his original style? Is Tyson Fury going to bring his Kronk gym fight style? Or is Tyson going to revert back to his boxing style? He's going to outbox the shit out of him. Doesn't mean he still can't knock him out. Tyson Fury has in 30 wins has 23 knockouts, so he's been proven to knock out people, even with his original style. AJ did that because he wanted to get the win first. So again, we don't know if this is gonna be. Are they gonna try to knock each other out, or are they gonna box and it's gonna go the distance? Because the way Tyson Fury fought, he fights to knock you out as well, but he'll box. He'll box smart. Deontay fought to knock out. Because I feel like even him, he knew he wasn't fundamentally sound at all. Fundamentally wise, he's too awkward, he's too wild. Any boxer who is patiently and who just puts him on the back foot, or not even just waits and just be able to slip his wild punches, can just pick him off, and they can either knock him out easily, or they can just win by decision and just win 10-9 rounds. Because that's what Tyson Fury was doing in the first fight. That's what King Kong Luis Ortiz did, even though he got knocked out. And that's what Tyson Fury thought was going to happen, and then he changed his fighting style to just, I want to make sure I'm knocking him out, and he did. So Anthony Joshua has been in 21 fights, is knocked out all people. Now he's fought 23 times. He's now 22-1. So yeah, that fight's gonna go down. It's gonna be the biggest heavyweight boxing trilogy. It's gonna be the biggest British heavyweight boxing match in history for the entire British area, the British fan base and all that stuff. Who do I got in it? Like I said, it depends on those things I stated. It depends on the weight. Depends on what their plan is. I'm always gonna back up Tyson Fury. I believe Tyson Fury is the better boxer because he's been able to master 2 fighting styles. One of them in a short period of time, and he said he hasn't even mastered it, but I say he did because it showed results. You know, he whooped the guy's ass for 20 minutes. There was no fight. He whooped him for 20 minutes. So I got Tyson Fury, man. Tyson Fury by the question is, like I said, I have to wait to see if it's by knockout, by points. If it's by how he fought, I think personally the smart thing would be to box him because I don't think because Anthony Joshua is more fundamentally sound. I believe he's the better boxer, but why he's dodging Deontay Wilder just doesn't make sense to me. And Deontay, so I personally believe once Tyson Fury beats him, say he does, I believe the fight should be Deontay Wilder versus Anthony Joshua, and the winner of that shall face Tyson Fury again. And obviously, I'm saying that in prediction that Anthony Joshua is going to win that fight. Then he's going to come back and try to fight. Then Tyson Fury is going to beat him, and he's going to be the king of the mountain. But after this entire trilogy, 3 saga of Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder, and Tyson Fury, where do you go? We don't know. We have to see. We'll have to see because hopefully there'll be more rising stars that come to contend and make the heavyweight division as entertaining as it has been these past couple of years with these 3. And so yeah, that's the rundown that I just figured out this morning. But I do believe Tyson Fury is the best supreme boxer. I believe he will be the one to unify all the belts because he already was a heavyweight champion before he went to suicidal and drug abuse and all this remediation, blew him to 400 pounds. In reality, he's going to become a 2-time heavyweight champion as far as because he's won all the belts in his career. He said this is the one. When he beat Deontay Wilder for the WBC belt, he said, "This is the only belt that's eluded me. I've got them all." If he unifies it, he'll become a 2-time IBF, WBO, WBA, and IBO heavyweight champion. And he still be the lineal champion. He'll still be the WBC heavyweight champion. He will unify all the titles. And at that point, I believe, if he completes all that, you'd want him to retire, but at the same time, fighting keeps him mentally sane because he didn't have love for fighting anymore. So it would lead him to all his suicidal remediation, all that stuff. So you'd want him to keep fighting for his mental state, but on like a career standpoint, and smart wise, he ain't got shit else to do unless it was like a super fight for someone from like light heavyweight or whatever the hell to bring up the title or come up and fight him or whatever it is. But yeah, I believe Tyson Fury will be the better boxer at the end of the day. I can't wait because the press conferences alone will be fantastic because Tyson Fury's the biggest shit talker and he's the biggest he's a big time walker because he's predicted things. He's like for any of my UFC fans out there, he's like Conor McGregor because he's also Irish. In Gypsy, he's a Gypsy King. Is what his nickname was. He's literally that for boxing because he predicts it and he does it. Not in the glorious fashion of I'm going to knock him out in the first round and then knocks him out in the first round. Not all the time. He's done it. Not all the time, though. But as far as I'm going to destroy you, I'm going to knock you out, and I'm going to do this, that. No one believes you, and you go out and do it. That's going to be it's going to be fireworks. It's going to be a fun time to see that. It's going to be great. And so I look forward to see what's going to happen when this whole quarantine thing goes down and boxing is back. And I'm excited. And moving on to another martial arts sport, MMA. Specifically the UFC. A lot has been going on recently. I just got Twitter, so it's a very funny app. I don't know how I missed out on this long. I wasn't allowed to, I don't think. But yeah, I digress. I got it now. And all you see is John Jones and all this stuff, light heavyweight champion of the world. He was over there bitch moaning and complaining, making another mistake with like drugs or alcohol, whatever the hell. And he demanded money for this super fight against this heavyweight, Francis Ngannou. Dana White, the UFC president, was like, no, because this is the worst. He asked for a lot of money at the worst possible time if there's a pandemic, which is surprising because a lot of people are forgetting that there is a pandemic, especially people in the UFC, but I digress. Dana White says no and stuff, and then they start complaining, going back and forth. And eventually, John Jones just straight up says, I want my release from the UFC. I'm not going to fight anymore for the UFC. I'm going to leave. I'll relinquish my heavyweight title and all other stuff. He was beefing with Chael Sonnen, UFC legend, Hall of Fame, mixed martial arts legend, and UFC Hall of Famer. And he's not the only one who's been agitated by this whole thing. Jorge Masvidal, the one that holds the BMF title, the best martial fighter, best, I don't know what it stands for, the BMF title. He's expressed his frustration as the level of disrespect. I don't know what he's talking about, but I'm only reporting this. And he just said he wants his release too. So a lot of people want their releases. The big thing is that Conor McGregor again has retired, randomly out the blue. Now I haven't heard too much about this. He went ahead and just said, I'm looking at all these fights and there is no fun fight that I would like to see. And he just said, I'm retiring again. So will he come out of retirement again? Probably, because there's no way he can stay away from the game that long. But yeah, that's pretty much it as far as the frustration. And Dana White's even like, yeah, dude, I get it, but it's nice to quarantine. And which brings me to my next point. UFC 251. There is a trilogy of Daniel Cormier and Stipe Miocic, the heavyweight champion, the UFC heavyweight champion. Now, basically, DC's been calling Daniel Cormier, or DC for short, has been calling him out, saying that he's ducking him in the middle of a quarantine. He's just like, just sign the contract, dude. I get you're a firefighter, all this other stuff, but I want to fight you. And Stipe Miocic this entire time was like, I live in Ohio. I can't leave my house. But trust me, when I can, I'll give you the fight. And guess what happened? He was able to leave this house, and the fight was scheduled. So people were just saying he was avoiding DC, which doesn't make any sense because it doesn't make any sense, which means Stipe's either he's gonna fight DC because they already beat each other. They're 1-1, so this is the perfect trilogy, and it's gonna happen August 15th. And personally, I look at it and I'm just like, why are you guys trashing Miocic? Because he's being logical. I don't understand why people, again, it's brings back to more emotion. Dude, make the fight happen. Sign the contract. And I'm like, dog, do you know there is a quarantine? Shit can't be done until this is over. Even though the UFC was like, it's still moving and stuff. It's still going on. At the end of the day, it's like, dog, my state has a whole thing where I can't leave my house. I can't even go to the gym. When the gym opens is when I'll hit you up. And guess what? The gym opened. It's got scheduled. So I don't know what the heck this whole hating thing of being logical. Like, yeah, because they want to act like there's not a fucking virus that's keeping us in the damn house. That's closed a plethora of things of day-to-day life and has halted travel and shit. Why you act like this is a surprise? And it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to me. But as far as that, who do I got in that fight? I don't really watch UFC. I watch UFC, but I don't pay for it because it's just too expensive, and I don't think my mom would ever pay for that. What other sports stuff that I've been seeing? This is pretty much what this has turned into, like 39 minutes in to like a sports podcast or whatever the hell. Like I said, it's a bunch of things. Mike Tyson, heavyweight boxing legend and former heavyweight champion of the world. He's decided to return to boxing. It's very old. This is kind of old news, I guess you could call it. I'm very excited for him because he looks good for 50. For 50, he looks phenomenal. And the big thing is that he fought, and we've seen heavyweights come back from success, from like they've retired and they've had to come back and fight for many different reasons, and they've had very good success. Muhammad Ali, he came back into a fight and he won the heavyweight title like a couple more times. He's the only heavyweight that has won the heavyweight title 3 times, I believe, if my facts are correct, because they can be a bit iffy at times. I believe, and Mike Tyson went on record saying, "I'm back." And the reason he left the sport is because it was like the entire thing was he didn't feel the love for the game anymore. And now you can see when you look at go his Instagram and you see his workout videos. He got first of all the picture comparison from 2019 to 2020 is ridiculous. But you can tell by how he punches and how he fights and how he talks. He's in love with the sport again, which I personally love to see that because again I love Mike Tyson. He's just an overall genuinely good guy, and to see the fire rekindled in his heart for the sport is good. Now, do I believe that he can still fight professionally? Yes. Do I think anybody's going to be stupid enough to fight Mike Tyson for charity, not even for a paycheck? Hell no. I wouldn't take a freaking jab from Tyson Fury, from Mike Tyson for $1 million. I wouldn't. I turned that down so quick. Because again, he's scary knockout power. So we'll see how that develops. If that does happen, he's fighting who which we were saying he was going to fight, which is Evander Holyfield, because they were both talking about fighting each other for charity or whatever. I'm going to see that fight. I will be there live to see that fight because I want to see Mike Tyson knock the hell out of Evander Holyfield because Evander Holyfield is the dirty motherfucker and he deserves the cleanest right hook from Mike Tyson ever. I want to see it. Plus, I want to see how good they're doing. I want to see them box. I want to see Mike Tyson come back because I believe, based on the shape that he's in, I believe he could fight professionally, and I believe he could fight for a heavyweight championship should he take it serious like that. But I don't think he will. I think he's just fight for charity. If he ever came back in the heavyweight picture, and that would be the thing that would probably bring back the heavyweight division. If Mike Tyson returned and was still going up on the ranks and then fought himself for a title picture, oh my God. The level of fan, you'll have new boxing fans, and the boxing fans of old just come together. Money, just money. Oh my God, it'd be phenomenal if Mike Tyson fought Deontay Wilder, or fought Anthony Joshua, or fought any big name heavyweight. It'd be amazing because Mike Tyson would just dog them, and it'd be personally in my mind. If he's still, again, I haven't seen him fight. I've seen the videos. I've looked at the videos of old, and of course he's a freaking monster. So if he comes back and he fights professionally, not just for charity, I'll be so happy because I'd want to see that. A lot of people would. I'm not alone on that. A lot of people would love to see that. They love to see him fight. Because again, you can see in his face, he's in love with the sport again, and that's what really matters outside of the politics, outside of all the money, outside of all the fame, all the other bullshit. At the end of the day, do you love what you're doing? And that can transcend to sports. It can transcend to anything, any business, any relationship, anything. Are you happy doing it? Fuck all the outside shit. When it comes down to the simplest form, are you happy with it? And he looks happy with it, and I say he looks very good. I don't know what idiot is going to fight him for charity. It'd have to be someone who either doesn't know about Mike Tyson, which I don't know how the hell you would know about him, thinks he's older and underestimates him. And it's just very interesting, and I don't think anybody would get stupid because though he's 53. The speed. I'm sorry, we need to go. For anyone out there, go watch it. Go watch the Instagram video on it. Go watch the video on his Instagram. He's still got crazy hand speed, crazy power for 53. And his trainer's wearing pads. So I don't understand how the hell anybody's gonna think if it conjure up that I'm gonna have the balls to stand and fight with Mike Tyson, who at one time was the hardest hitting heavyweight boxer of all time. Personally, I think he's a hard hitter than Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder is just 6'7". You move Tyson Fury. You move Mike Tyson to 6'7". He's killing people. He was already killing people at like 5 something. Move him to 6'7". He's murdering anyone who comes in the ring with him. And it's that simple. There is no one else. Uh, no one else that's gonna. There's no one else that would fight him. So he looks good, and I'm looking forward to it. And really, that's the other thing going on in the sports world now. We just have to wait for more stuff to happen because I personally can't wait. I'm gonna watch the hell out of the NBA because I already watched that a lot, but now that that's one of the main sports, that's what I mean. Disney's gonna make so much money. Just oh my! You really think about the hindsight of it. Oh my! Disney's offered their hotels to entire corporation, the NBA, a global watch sport. Not only that, they're then going to be televised, most likely through Disney in some way, shape, or form. I don't know the semantics of it. But it's gonna be a very fun thing to look at. It's gonna be very interesting. And Disney's just gonna make so much fucking money, much more money than they already had. And then just TV ratings that everybody's sitting at home. Not everybody's gonna watch martial arts. Everybody's gonna watch basketball, and they're just gonna all. And then the NBA's come back, even though it's just the players. They're gonna watch it, and they're gonna be like, "Dog, the amount of TV ratings, the amount of money it comes. It's just gonna be ridiculous. It's gonna be amazing, and I can't wait." And it's gonna be amazing. It's gonna be amazing. Sorry, I'm texting. Someone's texting me. Sorry. It's gonna be amazing, and I can't wait. I'm very excited for the NBA. I'm very excited for boxing. I'm very excited for all the sports I mentioned, and just I'm excited to see the world get back to where it was. But I do believe that it'll be a fun time watching all this stuff go down. It'll be very interesting. Though, and this is really I don't even keep up with the news that much, and then I'll be like, cool, this is great. I can't wait. And it'll just be overall fun time, and I can't wait for to see where that goes. This has been episode of the Smorgasbord Podcast, episode 18. Stay safe, everybody. Love you all. Bye.